future. We got week 2 coming up.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm here for it. Now to them volunteers, baby. Rocky Top rolls again. We knew it was going to happen. What did I predict? I said 42-17, roughly. And I was giving them some. I was being polite on that one. And it ended up being, 49-13? That's, hey, man, if I was a betting man, I'd have won some money on that one.
Hey.
But like I said, we looked great. A lot of people at first are kind of worried about Joe Milton. They came out, they kind of complaining. A few of the balls were a little bit overthrown, but you got to look. This is the first fast-paced game we had. We didn't get to go play a Arkansas State, a UT Martin, a South Alabama. We didn't get to start off with one of the smaller teams. We started off with an actual ACC decent team, another Power 5 team who was pretty decent in Virginia. With a plug for Virginia, I want to say RIP to those guys who lost their life in a senseless tragedy this past year. Those 3 players. With Tennessee, we actually wore the numbers on the back of our helmet as a point of solace for those guys. So, again, rest in peace. I'm glad you guys were able to come out into the field after a tragedy like that at the end of the day. So that takes strength to come out after something like that happens to people you're very close to. Again, Joe Milton, he looked good. At first, I was a little worried, just like everybody else, a couple of overthrows, but you got to get settled in. He finished off with 200 yards. Jalen Wright, our running back, 115. Ramel Keaton, 66. Now, just hearing 66 receiving yards kind of worries a lot of people, especially after you hear these yards that Jalen Hyatt was putting up last year. But like we said, your point made with Oklahoma, we weren't giving up everything, right? You don't want to come out and give free film to the next guy who's waiting in line, right? We didn't need to do the razzle dazzle, go deep every single play like we do. We go fast. That's kind of our mode of operations. So we were going to go fast. We were going to execute, and that's what he did. He ended up throwing 21 for 30, which is pretty good. 200 yards, 70% completion rate, 2 touchdowns, and then he also ran some man at the end of the day. But we kind of figured he would do that. That's what they wanted him in the offense for, with his size, his strength, using him almost like a Cam Newton type player back there, right? He can throw it deep. He can run. He's strong. At 6'5", that's a lot of body coming towards you, right? Next, we had Sampson. Man, this guy had a heck of a night, rushing 3 touchdowns. But we kind of knew, my players to watch, like we said earlier, Sampson was one of those players I said that we need to be looking out for. He put up 3 touchdowns. We want these young guys coming there and doing that at the end of the day. Him, Ramel Keaton looked good. Warren, our tight end, we didn't see Fent, but Warren is another tight end that we're using. We're putting them in the position to succeed. We get down there, the way the offense is set up is so that the running game can succeed, right? You get so scared of the pass, you start pushing your people back. The moment you push them back, we gas you with the run. And that's how we kind of do it with them. And I enjoy that 1-2 punch right there. Defense, they looked solid. It's shaky at first. We allowed Virginia to get a couple points up, but we kind of needed them to, just because we got to get your feet wet. You want to give your offense a break. You want to let them drive a little bit, stop, get turnovers, and they were able to do that. So
I will say that first I want to say Oklahoma was one of 4 teams this week to have a shutout. So, FYI, just a little.
Georgia couldn't do it. Alabama couldn't do it. Hey, Georgia was struggling against UT Martin.
Hey, it was a lot going on. But as far as Tennessee goes, one thing that stands out with me is Jalen Wright, the 12 carries for 115 yards. 12 carries. You breaking a honey bun for 12 carries. You cannot be mad about that at the end of the day. Like, come on now. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
The only thing is, he didn't get any touchdowns, but at the same time, you're controlling the game. You're striking fear in your opponent when you have somebody rushing for 100 yards. You know what I mean?
Gash
12 carries. You know what I mean? He's averaging 9.6 yards a carry. That's off the ground. And so, that opens up a lot of doors for play action, for your actual runs. You know what I mean? So it kind of makes the defense play a little different when you cannot control the ground.
Exactly.
But all in all, I think it was a solid game. I did see a little bit of Nico in
there. Yeah. Nico came in towards the end right there. There was no need to keep Joe Milton at that point in time. You ended up like Derrick Rose. If you,
I thought he came in a little late, but
no, I don't think so. Think about this. No? Joe Milton didn't get to play a lot last year, right? Joe Milton came in towards the end of the season, so we got Vanderbilt and we had Clemson right there. So he really needs that time to get familiar with the offense at a fast pace, so you can't pull him out too early. You want to kind of help him build those stats up. But Nico also, we only put Nico in because of the fact of who he was at 5-star. We still have 2 quarterbacks in between them that are talented quarterbacks. So just to get Nico wins kind of appease the masses at the end of the day. We wanted to see Nico win. We wanted to see him play a little bit, see how he feels on the offense, see how he looks. And I thought he looked great. 2 for 3 attempts right there. Yards 11, 66 completion rate. And I enjoyed that just to get him out there and get familiar with the offense in itself to see how it looks in the uniform. So
it almost seems like Tennessee's schedule is backwards year in and year out, just as far as their, they kind of start with, not the greatest team,
yeah,
but they kind of start with an opponent like a name brand apart, or excuse me, a Power Five opponent. Then they kind of go backwards to
yeah.
like, the SWAC division
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. But no, I think it was a solid performance. See, y'all had 4 sacks on the day.
Yeah, our defense looked great. Again, I can't complain. Elijah Herring, one of the linebackers, 5 tackles. He was getting to the ball after we having to replace Banks in the middle. We were wondering who's going to be our guy to step up, and Elijah
Right.
Herring did it. He looked fantastic. Tyler Barron is our D line. He got those sacks. He's a madman back there. He is. I mean,
see that. I
he
see
gets
that,
back
man.
there. He gets to the ball. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
him and James Pierce from center right Pierce. They get to the ball, and that was our question. You know how Oklahoma had the question last year. Defense, Tennessee had the same thing. They know our offense can put up numbers, right? But what is the defense going to do at the end of
Y'all's
the day?
offense was just a little better than ours last year, which was kind of
Just
crazy.
just a little. I mean, just a little bit. Just a little bit. We got to a New Year's Six bowl, so just a little bit. But our biggest question for me coming into this year were 2 things: what is Joe Milton going to do, and what's our defense going to do? Our defense wasn't the best last year, admittedly. I mean, we were great stopping the run, which is what you have to do in the SEC. But are you going to be able to do that day in and day out, right? Do we have the depth behind it? So as we can see now, we got the depth behind it. We got Jalen McCullough back there deep as a senior. He's in control. He's like the puppet master back there, the way he moves.
What's his name?
Jalen McCullough.
We got a dude named McCullough.
Oh, maybe it's his brother. Who knows? And then Tamarian M.
There too.
Tamarian M. Kind of like that. Tamarian McDonald's also DB. He got him a tackle on the night. So we all around, I think we had a great performance. People want to say we were lackluster. We weren't Tennessee gashy for 90-yard plays. No, that's what when we weren't coming in to do that. We were coming in to get Joe Milton the throws, get his accuracy down, and start fine tuning it. We saw a couple throws where he's like, "Oh, that boy's strong," and then a couple he kind of seemed a little bit timid on. He underthrew him a little bit, just a little bit, because he didn't want to see like, okay, I'm not the same Joe from last year where I'm bombing it out the back of the end zone. I'm not Bazooka Joe. I'm very more controlled at this point in time. He was in control.
I think he does like to. I think he does like to show off a little bit.
I mean, he has to. That's his.
I mean, if you got an arm like that, I don't see why not.
You let it rip. It's just, can you do it controlled? But some of those weren't his fault. I mean, he could have had another 80, 90 yards. We had a couple key drops right there. And his reads were great. He's throwing it to the right person every single time. He might have had one bad play where he tried to, he thought his strength could get the ball in there. It's double coverage. The guy, it got tipped incomplete, which is fine. It happens incomplete. But he tried to force it in there. You can see. And those are the finger jammers right there. Those are the ones when it's cold, like, hey, you throw that ball again, we're going to have some issues. Don't throw that ball that hard.
Hey,
so
I'm sitting here, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm sitting here looking, and I'm trying to move my hair for the people that's watching on YouTube. I'm trying to move my hair out the way because it's like I just watched it. So I feel like my hair is kind of like
a clown coming behind.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it. And then I remember high school. Hey, real quick. So I remember high school
too.
My daddy said, "Your hair don't grow on the sides," and what he meant by sides, were like where the Super Bowl. If people don't know that, for where your top meets your side, like my hair would grow here and then straight up. And so when I used to grow my hair out, I didn't have nothing right here and on the edges. It was just on the side and straight up. And now I'm like, dang, bro, he was right. I'm trying like to control it real quick.
That's how it is. You're gonna be like Josh Heupel out there with Georgia when they come to Neyland. It floats too. If you come to Neyland, you'll float too. Be about like our goalpost in the Tennessee River right now. That's where they're gonna end up.
Is it still there?
Yeah. I mean, some people cut it up, but for the most part, it's still there. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of people cut up pieces of it and took it, which I wish I had a piece of it myself, but I didn't get a chance to go. But no, we looked great, and that's our recap.